Midas Touch, I think, is one of these sort of. I think it's a bit like the Lincoln Project, where it's centrist, right leaning centrists who created an organization to go against the extremism that's happening in their party. Um, and so I will cover this video, or at least some of it, and just add my own thoughts to it. Let's go back. Obviously, I'm not going to agree with everything he says.
I'm Ben Meiselas from the Midas Touch Network. We've talked about here at Midas Touch how the MAGA extremists were living in their own weird, bizarre, dangerous, conspiracy-laden echo chamber. But it is a beautiful thing to watch the MAGA extremists realize that in real time. So I want to show you this clip from the Charlie Kirk. He's a MAGA right-wing extremist. His podcast, which is broadcast live as the votes were coming in Arizona, where it was apparent that the election-denying MAGA extremist candidate, Kari Lake, was going to lose. And she was backed heavily by Charlie Kirk, and he really pushed.
By the way, the important takeaway from this is that this is what they've been doing with every one of these events where they have a massive failure, is that they acknowledge it in real time while it's happening, and then they immediately come up with spin to try and justify or just completely change the story on it, kind of like the insurrection, right? In real time, they're like horrified that the MAGA crowd would do that to the Capitol, but then they all fell in line with this idea that they were patriots and they were just expressing free speech and they weren't doing anything wrong, even though people died. People died as a result of what they did, and they went in there with the intention of assassinating at least Nancy Pelosi, Mike Pence, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and others, like other members of the squad and stuff. They went in there with the intention of actually assassinating people, and they came in with weapons.
Her candidacy and all of the election denying conspiracy theories about the 2020 election. But let me play you this clip of Charlie Kirk, also in attendance as the right-wing extremist state senator in Arizona. It's crazy just saying that. Wendy Rogers. And you see how the night progresses as it becomes apparent that Kari Lake will be defeated by the pro-democracy Arizona Secretary of State, Katie Hobbs. And you just see the epiphany that takes place amongst the MAGA extremists in this video that, maybe.
Like I said, they acknowledge it in the moment, but then they completely spin it. And, it's not like this is a new concept for Republicans and the MAGA crowd. Look at Gabby Giffords. Gabby Giffords was placed on a Republican like PowerPoint slide or something, like a slide deck or like a handout with a target on her. And so were several other people. But the thing is that when you put forward suggestions like that, the crazies will take it up. They will act on it.
We're in an echo chamber here. Play the clip.
Counties in Arizona, it's usually this north-south vertical, like blue sliver. It's like all red to the eastern part of the state, and then there's just blue sliver. We just tied that, which is great.
It's really good.
That's a good sign. And Katie, I think Katie won that drop in Pima.
Uh-oh.
That's not good. Has to have happened. So let me get this straight. She's performing less than 10 points with Trump in Pima.
Yeah.
On the same sort of type of vote.
Correct.
Wow.
So that's where she's at.
Man, not only were tracking polls off, they were off by like 6 points.
And
it's incredible.
Well,
this is like a blue wave scenario.
I mean,
man, losing the Pima drop 12 points less than Trump.
That hurts. But I'll tell you what.
When was the last time Trump did a rally here? It was like early October.
Yeah, but Trump should have come in September. He should have come the first week of September.
And I'm shocked by some of these numbers, Wendy. I got to be honest. I mean, you know the state really well. You've been a grassroots activist for a while. The vibe on the ground was totally different than this, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think it would have made a difference if he came in September, because if the voters in that district were already moving, it's 12 points away. That's a huge margin. That is not close. It's not going into recount. That is a huge margin, and at least in that particular county, right? I don't know what the final results were. I haven't looked, but that's if they're saying that they expected her to do much better in that county, and she underperformed by so much, then they clearly were their pollsters are off, and they didn't know what was happening. And the reality is the MAGA crowd is just loud. It doesn't mean that they are vast in numbers. It's just that they're loud, obnoxious, they get in our face, and they try and bully us into submission.
Well, we wonder now if we were in an echo chamber.
Well, I mean, look,
I don't know. I'm just beginning to get some perspective.
Look,
Yeah.
Big shout out to Ron Filipkowski, runs a great Twitter account and does great work, who put that video together, and he posted that on Twitter. I want to show you some other clips, though, because after their realization, these MAGA extremists, that they're living in an echo chamber, do you think that they will leave the echo chamber? Do you think they go, oh, maybe we should try to become, I don't know, a little bit more normal and try to appeal to the exhausted pro-normal, exhausted pro-democracy America, people who are just like, we're done with this craziness? No. These MAGA influencers then continue to make television appearances on their own echo chamber, MAGA extremist networks, and they say things like this. Look, here's the pillow guy fascist, who's one of the main MAGA influencers, basically saying that.
Well, I'll go even a step further and say they also bring on faux opposition. Like Jimmy Dore is supposedly a leftist. He's not. Aaron Matei, Nomiki Konst. These are faux opposition. They bring them on as though they want to have a fair and balanced debate, right? Isn't that what Fox News says, that they are fair and balanced, right? But the people they're bringing on are just clowns, caricatures of the left, who really don't even buy into leftist concepts and are misrepresenting what is happening with leftist populist movements.
He's 100% sure that Kerry Lake and Blake Masters won, and just spreading more deranged conspiracies. Here, play this clip of Mike Lindell.
Oh, I hate it when you do this.
We caught them. They're absolutely caught. Everything that was done in Arizona, they are caught, and this is going to just the tip of the spear for unraveling. See, there's tens and tens of thousands of citizens that are looking for a place to reach out. They're going to do sworn affidavits of what happened. I don't think there's a judge in this country that can't say we need a new election down there in Arizona. And not just for Kerry Lake. Remember, they took Mark Fincham's too. They took Blake Masters. They were all stolen. And I don't care. Doesn't matter what anyone says. We already know this. We were watching it from the Edison report. We were watching it cyberly. And we were watching just blatantly. The citizens were all watching. So you imagine having 3 different camera angles of a crime. When you have a crime of
Keep in mind also how the Convo Couch went out to Arizona to prove that the elections were fraudulent, and that the Republicans should have won. They have been, for years, trying to create distrust in our election process. And I'm not talking about just like the interference that the Democrats talked about, the interference of actually, trying to persuade people over social media. They have come up with absolutely false arguments about how the votes are tabulated and reviewed and checked, And also, the thing is, when you have such a huge margin, I don't know what the statewide margin is, but from what they were saying about Pima County, that margin is too large to even claim that there was interference, because if there was going to be interference, they couldn't have possibly gotten away with such a large deficit, because it would be so obvious. It would be such an obvious thing, because election voting machines are not even hooked up to the internet or anything. So to manipulate the vote in such a degree would be so obvious that it would be easy to discover. And when they have investigated election fraud, they've never found anything significant enough that it would actually change the election results.
This magnitude committed, you can't certify this election.
And then we turn to the MAGA right-wing extremist influencers Bannon and Kash Patel. Kash Patel.
And when I say they, I know a lot of people are like, well, who's they, right? They would be like the county registrar, the state, I think it's attorney general. I think it's the attorney general that oversees election processes for each state, and the Department of Homeland Security. When I say they haven't found anything significant enough that it would actually change the election results, I'm talking about some massive government agencies
who had to testify before the grand jury because of his involvement in Donald Trump's theft of top secret sensitive compartmented records that Donald Trump stole from the government, and Patel was involved in the attempts to overthrow the free and fair election of 2020 after he was appointed to become the chief of staff to the Secretary of Defense.
But that's kind of part of the whole story that they're trying to perpetuate anyway, is that they really want to dive into the idea that there's a deep state, and that there's a shadow government, and that that every American is being defrauded and lied to, and there's men in black, and like it's they are absolutely tapping into that side of Americans that really enjoys campfire stories, ghost stories.
It's just completely insane. But here they are just spreading more conspiracies and talking about a holiday mug that says communist tears on it, and Kash Patel selling this just bizarre children's book. Here, play this clip.
Both signed by me, along with a Christmas ornament and a bright green Christmas mug that says communist tears. All at a big discount for you guys today. PlotAgainstTheKing.com. Get both books signed by me and some Christmas cheer for the holiday season. Love to see you on Truth Social. And Steve, I will for sure catch you guys at the live RAV feed.
Then you go back to their culture wars issue, like, their big issues, right, leading up to the midterm elections and really throughout 2021 and 2022. What were the big
I'm going to stop here and just drop the link to the video. But I wanted to at least get to the part where they bring up Bannon, because Bannon and General Flynn came out to Orange County in the weeks leading up to our election to do fundraisers. And it's very clear that we still have a lot of residents in Orange County that buy into these conspiracy theories, and do so because, like I said, the MAGA crowd is loud. They're not huge, but they're loud. And so they have enough influence that they can sway things just enough to make sure that people don't trust Governor Newsom. I always call him Governor Gavin Newsom. Elena Kulanis, I think I said her name right. Lieutenant Governor, I think is her title. I think it's Treasurer Fiona Ma. Alex Padilla for Senator. In Orange County, we lost everybody at the top of the ticket, but Orange County overwhelmingly passed Prop 1 to protect abortion rights. And so what's clear is that we still have this really outrageous group of people that are able to influence their friends and neighbors But we do not have a good counter strategy to that. And I know that when Katie Porter faced a smear campaign that was dropped by Irvine Mayor Farrakhan, who works with Republicans, but purports she's a Democrat. Uh, when that happened, her advisors, from everybody that I know in politics, her advisors were telling her not to respond or address the smear campaign. And that's literally the same mistake that John Kerry made in 2004. Now, I think Katie actually did win her seat by the skin of her teeth. But these types of mistakes make it very difficult for us that we are not immediately addressing the falsehoods that come after our politicians. And we're just hoping for the best. That's what we're hoping for. Because we have to address the fact that they are dishonest. That the veracity of their claims should be questioned. That these people are conspiracy theorists. Michelle Steele should not have won the seat over Jay Chen. Now, Young Kim winning in the redrawn district where Katie used to be, it was under the being redrawn, it was like 14 plus Republican. So that makes a little bit more sense that she would have been able to capture it. Also, I've been told that she's not as crazy MAGA as some of the other Republicans, but she's still, you know what? Anybody who claims to be a Republican today is aligning with that side of the party. They are saying, yeah, I'm willing to work with the alt-right. I'm willing to work with the QAnon crazies. I'm willing to do this. And that should be a deal breaker at the get-go. But the fact is, we still have people in Orange County who are not educated enough on actual politics to realize how dangerous this is. And so our strategy has to change. And I guess that's why I wanted to cover this video, because Bannon came out here a few weeks ago. He was just out here a few weeks ago with General Flynn. And Trump's come out here. This is where they come to raise money.